यश्च कृपा सिंधु पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भगवान। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you. So you can be muted and recite along with me. अपरेयं यतस्त्वन्यं प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे परं जीवभूतं महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत्। दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते। बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेव सर्वमिति समात्मा सुदुर्लभा। अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति समुद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः। आब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोका पुनरावर्तिनो अर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते। राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम्। मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेषु अवस्थितः। सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रता नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते। यान्ति देवव्रता देवा पितॄन् यान्ति पितृव्रता भूतानि यान्ति भूतेन च यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम्। पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्तिपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मना। यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्। समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रिय या भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्। अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विता। तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन माम् उपयान्ति ते। Okay, today can someone volunteer to read? Okay, yes, please. Okay, yes, please.
Start with translation.
Let me just.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, we saw in the 16th verse. Just a minute. Lord tells about 4 types of devotees: Artho, Jigyasur, Arthatya, and Gyani. The 4 types of people who approach Lord. Then in the next verse, Lord tells who he highlights a particular, the Gyani type devotee, and he tells why he is more dear to him. तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्त एक भक्तिर्विशिष्यते.
तेषां ज्ञाने नित्ययुक्ता एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते.
प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनो अत्यर्थम् अहं स च मम प्रिया.
प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनो Tyartham aham sacha mama priyaha.
Okay. So Jnani is dear to Lord because he is Nitya Yukta and Eka Bhaktir, because of these two reasons. Jnani is Nitya Yukta because he does not have any material desires. He is constantly connected through the Lord. Liberation is generally considered as a spiritual desire in that way. So that's why mind is fixed because there are no material desires. So mind is fixed and he is Nitya Yukta and Eka Bhakti. Uh, and there is high predominance of Bhakti. Almost means no Bhakti is very much there. The Jnana part is very, very less. So that's why uh, of these four types, the Jnani is dear to the Lord. Yes, Prabhu, you can read the purport.
Free from all contaminations of material desires, the distressed, the inquisitive, the penniless, and the seeker after supreme knowledge can all become pure devotees. But out of them, he who is in knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a really pure devotee of the Lord. And of the four orders, the devotee who is in full knowledge and is at the same time engaged in devotional service is, the Lord says, the best. By searching after knowledge, one realizes that his self is different from his material body, and when further advanced, he comes to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. When one is fully purified, he realizes that his constitutional position is to be the eternal servant of God. So, by association with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material amelioration, and the man in knowledge all become themselves pure. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the same time executing devotional service is very dear to the Lord. He who is situated in pure knowledge of the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is so protected in devotional service that material contamination cannot touch him.
Yeah. So the Jnani is does not have any material desires. So that can only happen when he has practiced some path of yoga perfectly. So either Nishkam Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Dhyana Yoga. So which from which we can infer that he already must have performed some element of bhakti, because to get purified through any yoga, we need to do some element of bhakti. So in that way, we can say he has knowledge of Lord, but he has not surrendered to the Lord. So comes, when he takes to bhakti, he surrenders to the Lord. So at the initial time, already because he's freed from material desires and already he has knowledge of Lord and he has a desire of liberation, which is generally considered spiritual. So he is considered more dear to the Lord. He's preferred. But now again, Lord clarifies that no, I like others also. उदार सर्व एवेते ज्ञानी व आत्मैव मे मतम्
उदारा सर्व एवैते ज्ञाने त्व आत्मैव मे मतम्
अस्थितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमं गतिम्.
आस्थिता सह युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमं गतिम्.
So Udara Sarvaivate, but all are dear to me. But I I'm more uh, inclined to Jnani. That is the thing. It's not like Krishna only likes me. Whoever comes, uh, whoever approaches Krishna in whatever condition, Krishna is indebted to them. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls. But one who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service is sure to attain me the highest and most perfect one. Jnani is special. He considers non-different from himself. Like, yes, Prabhu, can read purport.
It is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they are also advanced in devotional service. But the devotee in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord because his only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting the or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him.
Just a minute.
Yes,
So, yeah, like if we see the teacher may like many students, but maybe one, two students are very special because they always approach the teacher, they take help, and they also help the teacher. So there may be special affection. Even in family also, uh, parent may like all children, but may have particular affection for a particular, either the daughter or son or whatever. So that is so Lord is means Lord is happy with everyone, whoever approaches him in whatever way. But he has some, uh, he's more, because they are more surrendered. Lord is also more disposed to the fourth type. Because ye yatamam prapatyante, that we have studied in the fourth verse. So it is similar. Yes, Pros. In the Srimad Bhagavatam.
in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68, the Lord says, Sadhavo hrudayam mayyam sadhunam hrudayam tvaham madanyatna tena janati naham tebhyo managapi. The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the hearts of the devotees. The devotee does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me.
Yeah. Okay. So the Jnani is, he does not have any material desires, which means he does not have any distractions. He is very pinpointed in that spiritual desire of achieving liberation, and for that he is surrendering to the Lord. So that's why, because he's focused on what he's doing and he's giving his full heart, so Lord also feels to give his full heart to him that way. Okay. So then Lord explains in the next shloka how this Jnana Mishra Bhakta eventually becomes a Kevala Bhakta, means becomes a pure devotee. Because Prabhupada explained it before only, but yeah. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate
Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate
Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha.
Vasudeva sarvamati sa mahatma sudurlabha.
Yeah, so this is Durlabh because this only happens, this is only possible when he comes in association with devotees of the Lord. Not always it happens. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Even his Jnana Mishra Bhakta also takes a lot of time. Yeah. If he gets devotees association. We see the Kumaras, they got association of Jai Vijay. So that's why because of that, they got bhakti in one sense. And Sukdev Goswami also, because of association with Vyasadeva, he got bhakti. Means he heard Bhagavatam. So that way he got bhakti. So these are examples. Yes, Prabhupada.
Purport. The living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals after many, many births, may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to Him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Shri Krishna's mercy is everything, that He is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from Him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus, he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudev or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudev precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Personality, to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare. This verse is very nicely explained in the third chapter, verses 14 and 15 of Shrutashotar Upanishad. सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्ष सहस्रपात् स भूमिन् विश्वतो वृत्वा त्यातिष्ठात् दशाङ्गुलम् पुरुष एवेदं सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यम् उतम उत्ताम उत्ताम्र
Yadapes
उत्ता
Amrutapes Yadannena Atirohite.
Haribo. Lord Vishnu has thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, and thousands of feet, entirely encompassing the whole universe. He still extends beyond it by 10 fingers' breadth. He is, in fact, this entire universe. He is all that was and all that will be. He is the Lord of immortality and of all that is nourished by food. In the Chandogya Upanishad 5.1.15, it is said, न वै वाचो न चक्षुंषि न श्रोत्राणि न मनांसिति आचक्षते प्राण इति एवाचक्षते प्राणो हि एवैतानि सर्वाणि भवन्ति. In the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. It is the life air which is the center of all activities. Similarly, Lord Vasudev, or the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is the prime entity in everything. And because Vasudev is all pervading and everything is Vasudev, the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. Clarification Bhagavad Gita 7.17 and 11.40.
Okay, so yeah, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, the Jnani also because he has practiced either Nishkam Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, he will have some attraction, he will have attraction to Brahman or no Paramatma feature, and he takes up to Bhakti. So he takes up to Bhakti, but unless he gets association of the devotees of Lord, uh, that no he does not completely take to devotional service, which means uh, he the object of his affection becomes only the Bhagavan. Object of focus and no devotion becomes only Bhagavan. So initially he may be also doing some worship of Brahman or no some meditation on Brahman, that also he may have, but unless he gets the association of pure devotees of Lord who are practicing pure devotional service, which means focusing only on the nine process of devotional service. So unless he gets that association, then his faith develops fully and he focuses only on the Bhagavan feature of the Lord. And and the means is the nine process of devotional service. So that is rare. That doesn't happen also to all Jnanis. So for that they have to get the association of devotees of Lord. Okay. Okay, till now, any doubts? Because now we'll go a little to a different section.
Vijay, just one question.
Mm.
That
Yes, please.
life air is everything. What does that mean? Is it consciousness or life air? Is it the prana or, I mean, the soul?
Okay, here.
Yes, Prabhu.
The power to speak.
Life air, which is the center of all activities. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, similar. It is an analogy. Yeah, life air is prana, the prana vayu. Prana
Prabhu,
vayu, yes.
should it be soul or should it be?
No, prana vayu, the soul follows the prana vayu. That is.
Okay, 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 Prabhu.
So this air, the life air connects the gross body to the subtle body. It's an interface between mind and the subtle body and the gross body, pranavayu. That's yes, Yashraj Prabhu has some question.
Uh, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
Mm.
in the Purush Sukta, the similar verse is there.
Yeah, this is Purusha Sukta only.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. Okay,
Prabhuji,
now,
Hare
uh,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes.
It
Question.
was regarding that shloka, Bahunam Janmanam.
Yes, yes.
Uh, one who has surrendered or who tries to surrender or who succeeds in surrendering.
So here it is like no who surrenders completely. So Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. See, this is not no. So this verse is referring to the jnani who is initially takes to devotional service but may not have association of devotees. But once he gets association of pure devotees, then he takes to full shelter. So
Uh,
so that he is referring. It's not general to devotees, the devotees whom we see and all. That is this verse doesn't apply to them. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And this is yeah, this you can say is he surrenders fully because now already is purified. So already he is purified, and he once he gets the faith, immediately he surrenders. Like we see example of Sukadev Goswami and all. They didn't have to do sadhana bhakti and all so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Our case is different. This verse doesn't apply. Okay, now Krishna describes in next four verses the Devata worship. So first he tells about why people worship Devatas. This is mainly referring to the Sakama Karma Yoga. There is, as we studied earlier in the third chapter especially, there is Sakama Karma Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga. So Sakama Karma Yoga, the focus is mainly on the Devatas. But in Nishkam Karma Yoga, they also worship Vishnu and Brahman. So, so let's see. So there, it's like they focus mainly on the Devatas and they more or less they ignore the worship of Vishnu. So why it is like that and their condition and their destination, that's what Krishna explains in the four verses. So why they don't surrender to him and all. कामस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञाना प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवता
कामैस्तैस्ते हृतज्ञाना प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवता
तं तं नियममास्ताय प्रकृत्या नियतस्वया.
तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया.
Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. The kama, so that is the root. Kama because they have material desires. So that's why they want to do Devata worship. Because as we studied in the fourth chapter, Devatas fulfill the desires quickly. कांक्षन्ते कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवता क्षिप्रं हि मानशीलोके the क्षिप्रं सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा. So among men, those desiring results from their work worship the devatas. The results coming from such actions appear very quickly. So this is 4.12. So then what happens? Hrita jnana. They lose intelligence. So they think demigods as all in all. And they they don't consider Vishnu. They think that Vishnu cannot actually give material, fulfill material desires. So their knowledge gets corrupted. Okay. Yeah, one thing is if we see, so the Devata worshippers, there are Sakama. Sakama means they have material desires and they are bodily conscious. They are not so much also acquainted with the knowledge of Atma and all, so much. And they are generally in lower modes, passion and ignorance. So that's why they generally focus on Devata because for them the most important thing is fulfilling their material desires. They don't have any understanding of Atma, they don't have understanding of liberation and all so much. So that's why they are not focused on Vishnu. Means even while worshipping Devatas and all, they may be also chanting some mantras to Vishnu or like no, they may be reciting Purusha Sukta prayer or something, but they don't focus on that. Their focus is mainly on the Devata. So this is the category which Krishna is discussing in this verse and no, in the future verses. Then there are also Devata worshippers like Nishkam Karma Yoga. They also do because it is the duty of a grahastha to do Panchamaha Yajna. So they have to do Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, all this. They have to Rishi Yajna means no, they have to read scriptures. That is like Atiti Seva, all that. So these are all like so they have to do that. So but the Nishkam Karma yogis they have spiritual desires means want liberation. So they do Devata worship, but they do it as a duty. They don't do for the fruits. These worshippers they are generally situated in higher modes like goodness, even pure goodness. They are conscious of Vishnu and Brahman, and their focus is more on Vishnu and Brahman than the Devata they are worship. So in this context, when Krishna is saying about those who worship devatas, mainly Krishna is referring to Sakama karma, Sakama karmis. So Prakritiya Swaya means they have this kind of
Hare
impressions.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. Prabhuji, so we said that they are they worshipping the devatas. Then
Mhm.
how come they have consciousness about Vishnu? I mean,
No, like Nishkam Karma Yogis, they because na, they have Atma Gyan and all. Like if you see the verse Tadvidhi Pranipatena and all, because Vedas describe about Vishnu and all, and they are clear if they want liberation only Vishnu can give, but their means of worshipping Vishnu is performing their varnashrama dharma.
okay, as if like Shankaracharya ji.
Yeah, yeah, now we
Like
don't have so much
accepting that Vishnu or Krishna is the supreme, but
yeah,
still following
varnashrama.
the uh, devata that
Varnashrama.
they are
Yeah.
afflicted.
uh, no, they don't have like no misconception. See, Mayavadis have that misconception. They say Brahman because now we are embodied, so we cannot directly perceive Brahman. So we can because everything is Brahman. So the Devata is also Brahman. So we can worship the Devata and it is like worshipping Brahman. Or they may also say Mano Seva, Madhav Seva. Like even if we worship the other poor people, that is also worshipping Brahman. So that is Mayavadi conception. That is a totally wrong against Vedas and all. So this is a different one. Nishkam Karma Yoga, their conception is different. They know that the demigods are functioning under Vishnu. I mean, they because the Varnashrama Dharma is their duty. That is what is the duty given to them by Vishnu. So they worship the demigods as their duty because the demigods are providing some things to the people. Like sun is providing light and also as an offer of gratitude, they worship them. Worship doesn't mean no, you're considering them as supreme. So you're just offering returning the gratitude to them, and their focus is on Vishnu, and they also know that demigods are angas of Vishnu. That is the thing. Okay, Yashas, do you have any question?
No, Prabhuji. I have just one comment. Actually, in the Madhva Sampradaya, they worship the demigod, but they
Mm,
consider them as a servant of Lord, and they are worshipping because they said,
mm,
because it's a mention in the Vedas, we cannot overpass the Vedas, we cannot overcome the Vedas. That's
mm.
why we are worshipping them, and it's just a mode of gratitude.
Yeah,
Not they consider them as a supreme Lord.
yeah, yeah. So these are some examples. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That's very clear.
Mm. So why Mayavadis do demigod worship? It's totally different, and why This Nishkama Karma Yogis, we don't have so much examples, but yeah, some examples he mentioned. And Sakama Karma are general people who worship demigods. Roji, you can read the purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Those who are freed from all material contaminations surrender unto the Supreme Lord and engage in His devotional service. As long as the material contamination is not completely washed off, they are by nature non devotees. Even those who have material desires and who resort to the Supreme Lord are not so much attracted by external nature because of approaching the right goal, they soon become free from all material lust. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is a pure devotee and is free from all material desires, or is full of material desires, or desires liberation from material contamination, he should in all cases surrender to Vasudev and worship him. As stated in Bhagavatam 2.3.10, Akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yes, Prabhu.
So yeah, this word, this yeah, this Prakritiya Swaya means these people they have this kind of impressions from their previous lives. This you will study in 17th chapter about what is faith and how the faith is inherited and all. So they got this faith in demigod worship from their previous lives by association with some other demigod worshippers and all. They don't exactly fall also in the category of Dushkritina, but they don't have that Sukritina, which is mentioned in the that verse, 16th verse, Chaturvida Bhajanti. So if they are Sukriti and they are Artharthi, then they may directly go to Krishna. But don't have that Sukriti. But they have faith in Vedas, so that's why they go to demigods. They are not exactly against Vishnu worship. It depends again on what type of Devata they are worshipping and all. Because different devatas are also in different modes and their worship is also in different modes. So that depends again. They ignore Vishnu worship because of misconception. So that Krishna will explain further in next verses.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for this understanding because now we are able to understand people better. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Yes, person now
Less,
less intelligent. Yes.
less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of demigods for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are in the lower modes of nature, ignorance, and passion, and therefore worship various demigods. Following the rules and regulations of worship, they are satisfied. The worshippers of demigods are motivated by small desires and do not know how to reach the supreme goal. But a devotee of the Supreme Lord is not misguided. Because in Vedic literature, there are recommendations for worshipping different gods for different purposes. Example, a deceased man is recommended to worship the sun. Those who are not devotees of the Lord think that for certain purposes, demigods are better than the Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee knows that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the master of all. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 5.142, it is said, Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabha Bhritya. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is master, and all others are servants. Therefore, a pure devotee never goes to demigods for satisfaction of his material desires. He depends on the Supreme Lord, and the pure devotee is satisfied with whatever he gives.
Yeah. Okay, so can take around 3 minutes and you can think of some examples of demigod worshippers, Devata worshippers in the scriptures. Yes, you can tell examples.
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Hiranyakashipu and Bhasmasur. Hiranyakashipu was worshipping Lord Brahma, and
Okay.
Bhasmasur was worshipping Lord Shiva.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Yashraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, in the Bhagavatam, there is a list
Mm.
for which desire you have to worship which demigod.
Mm.
So there's a lots of list for the Gyan we have to worship Surya, and for the material desire we have to worship Shiva and Durga, and for
Yeah.
the remove all the obstacle we have to worship the Ganesha. So,
Yeah.
but I have lots of example like Pandavas also worship the demigod, like Arjun worshipped the Shivji, and he did tapasya to get the weapons. So
Right.
there's a lots of example, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So their worship is different, but of course, which will suit in this context, we want examples. Yes, there will not suit here because there they are doing more like a duty, and Krishna tells them to worship. So
Okay,
okay,
so
Srikant,
Prabhuji,
Prabhu, you can think.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Srikant Prabhu, you can tell.
Um, Ruji, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Keshav Kashmiri worships Saraswati for,
Okay. Yes.
and in Krishna Lila, Vrindavan Vasis are worshipping Indra for rains.
Okay. Yes. 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 Fine. Okay, Vrajavas's case also a little different, but of course, it's somewhere no, it's a little different. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, gopis, they did Katyayani Vrata with an intention to get Krishna as
Yeah.
their husband.
Okay,
So it
that's
was for
again
their
devotional.
desire.
It's their devotional content
Ah,
context.
yes, of course.
Here it is like purely material for material
Nish.
things. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Any other? Okay. Fine. Okay. Yashas bro, want to?
Uh, yes, Prabhuji. Actually, Prabhuji, the all the demons they mostly worship the demigods. So we can say and we there is not only one name. Mostly the all the demons worship the demigod. Yes.
Yeah. So that is yeah. That's what there are demons. Different examples. Yes, Srikant bro.
Ruji, was it Bhasmasura, someone who got benediction from Shiva?
Uh,
If they keep hand on the head, his head will
Yeah,
burst.
yeah. Already Prabhuji also told. Yes, again, we can see also, like if you see the example of Keshav Kashmiri, he's worshipping also Saraswati, which is more like in mode of goodness. So that's why he could easily take up also to devotional service easily. In one sense, he does not so much fall in Dushkruti kind of. He has very less Dushkruti and he could easily get Sukruti. But if you see others like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu and all, they had lot of Dushkruti. And that's why they also means they are more passion and ignorance. So it was more difficult for them to surrender to Krishna. They were averse to surrender. As we saw in the previous verse, the main reason why people don't surrender to Krishna is they are covered by the modes. So that is one thing. Okay.
To kill Prabhuji,
Hmm.
to kill Vritrasur also, na, that some rishis born,
Yeah. Dadichi.
I forgot, Dadichi, yeah.
So yeah, no, their demigods did not worship him in one
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. Okay, okay.
He did it as a
Sorry.
service to Lord. That Dadichi Rishi himself as a he is like a devotee of Vishnu. He did it as a service. Okay. Okay, so we got some examples of this. And yeah, in case of demons, we can clearly see that they have material desires. That karma is there. That is the one which is impelling them to worship such demigods. Okay. So we'll continue. Just yo yo yam yam tam tanum bhakta shraddhaya chitam ichchati
यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्ता श्रद्धया अर्चितुमिच्छति
tasya 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 achalam shraddham tam eva vidadamyaham.
तस्य तस्य अचलां श्रद्धां तमेव विदधाम्यहम्.
The translation: I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one decides to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. So Krishna tells actually the Devata worship is also, he is the main person. He's not in foreground, but Krishna is only doing everything in the background. So that in this verse and next verse, Krishna uh, establishes that fact. Yes, Prabhu, can read for God has.
God has, yes, Prabhu. God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from the material demigods, the Supreme Lord, as super soul in everyone's heart, understands and gives facilities to such persons. As the Supreme Father of all living entities, he does not interfere with their independence, but gives all facilities so that they can fulfill their material desires. Some may ask why the all powerful God gives facilities to the living entities for enjoying this material world and so lets them fall into the trap of the illusory energy. The answer is that if the Supreme Lord as Supersoul does not give such facilities, then there is no meaning to independence. Therefore, he gives everyone full independence, whatever one likes. But his ultimate instruction we find in the Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all other engagements and fully surrender unto him. That will make man happy. Both the living entity
Mhm.
and the demigods are subordinate to the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity cannot worship the demigod by his own desire, nor can the demigod bestow any benediction without the supreme will. As it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, persons who are distressed in the material world go to the demigods as they are advised in the Vedic literature. A person wanting some particular thing may worship such and such a demigod. For example, a deceased person is recommended to worship the sun god. A person wanting education may worship the goddess of learning, Saraswati, and a person wanting a beautiful wife may worship the goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. In this way, there are recommendations in the Shastras, Vedic scriptures, for different modes of worship of different demigods. And because a particular living entity wants to enjoy a particular material facility, the Lord inspires him with a strong desire to achieve that benediction from that particular demigod, and so he successfully receives the benediction. The particular mode of the devotional attitude of the living entity toward a particular type of demigod is also arranged by the Supreme Lord. The demigods cannot infuse the living entities with such an affinity, but because he is the Supreme Lord or the Supersoul who is present in the hearts of all living entities, Krishna gives impetus to man to worship certain demigods. The demigods are actually different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord, therefore, they have no independence. In the Vedic literature, it is stated the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Supersoul, is also present within the heart of the demigod. Therefore, he arranges through the demigod to fulfill the desire of the living entity. But both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the supreme will. They are not independent.
Yeah. So as Prabhupada clearly explained, Lord is the only super soul in the heart of that living entity, and he has to give him that remembrance of that knowledge about the demigod and how to worship the demigod and all. So that way, the source of faith. Faith means the knowledge of the demigod and the importance of worshipping the demigod for that particular desire. So that all that is given in Vedas, but that remembrance has to be again given by the Lord. So that way, Lord is only responsible for creating and ensuring the faith of the Devata worshipper in that particular Devata. So that is the thing. Okay. So now Lord now tells about how the results of that worship are also dependent on Krishna. So here in the verse Tanum Bhakta, the Tanum Bhakta means indicates that uh, the worshipper of the body of Supreme Lord, because demigods are also seen as parts of the Supreme Lord. So that's why the word Tanam Bhakta is written. Okay. Next. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasyaradhanam Ihate
सतस्या श्रद्धया युक्तस्तस्याराधानमीहते
Labate cha tatah kaman mam Mayyeva Vihitan Hitan.
लभते च तथा कामान् मयैव विहितान् हितान्.
So again, Mayyeva. Lord is only giving that power to the demigods to fulfill those desires, to fulfill the desires of the worshippers. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Yes, Prajit, can read purport.
The demigods cannot award benedictions to their devotees without the permission of the Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the demigods do not forget. So, the worship of demigods and achievement of desired results are due not to the demigods but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by arrangement. The less intelligent living entity does not know this and therefore foolishly goes to the demigods for some benefit. But the pure devotee, when in need of something, prays only to the Supreme Lord. Asking for material benefit, however, is not a sign of a pure devotee. A living entity goes to the demigods usually because he is mad to fulfill his lust. This happens this happens when something undue is desired by the living entity and the Lord himself does not fulfill the desire. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one who worships the Supreme Lord and at the same time desires material enjoyment is contradictory in his desires. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the worship of a demigod cannot be on the same platform because worship of a demigod is material and devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual.
Yeah, so that's why generally in Vedas, for whatever material things, if somebody wants, there is always a prescription of demigod, devata worship. So that's why in that verse, that Sukritina word is important. If somebody has material desire and still he is approaching the Supreme Lord, means he should have some Sukruti, some Bhakti Sukruti from previous lives and all. So that's why it happens that way. Otherwise, generally the tendency is to worship the devatas. Yes, for the living.
For the living entity who desires to return to Godhead, material desires are impediments. A pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent living entities, who therefore prefer to worship demigods of the material world rather than engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So from this verse, we see that even the power to fulfill the benedictions is also given to the devatas by Supreme Lord. Both the faith of the faith in the worshipper and the power to fulfill that desire of the worshipper, both are given by the Supreme Lord. Yes, Sharad Prabhu, any question?
Yes, Prabhuji. So here, concept-wise, it is clear that who goes to demigod and who worships Supreme Lord.
Mm,
But in a life of a devotee, if
mm,
he wants to fulfill his some desire, like getting a job or getting married uh,
mm,
to a girl,
mm,
so in that case, if that is not getting fulfilled, and
mm,
a devotee is going to demigod
mm.
worship, so what it is like, so how can we understand one what should be the attitude of devotee in that
You
case?
see, yeah, okay. So it is, you can see it as a need. See, means no, having a job is a need, and having to get married and to have a stable family life, a proper family life is a need. Need of being in the world, and unless that need is fulfilled, one may not means the practice of devotional service gets disturbed in some way or other. So that we saw in sixth chapter, Yuktahara Viharasya and all. So we should see that as a need, and to fulfill the need, again we have to see more from that Nishkama perspective. So the system is created by the Lord, where we can means one can there is a particular demigod to full to fulfill the need. See, the need and desire, like no, to attain Chandraloka, to want to go to Chandraloka, that is not a need, that is a desire. But to have some, but let's say you want to have some money, like no, to have few lakhs of rupees in bank and all, that is a need. But to become a millionaire or billionaire, that is a desire. So the devotee see it is a need, and this need has to be fulfilled so that my devotional service goes properly. And this system is created by the Lord, like no yajna, the yajna system is created by the Lord, so that the people get their needs fulfilled, and both the demigods and the people are happy. This we saw in the third chapter. So we have to see this is the system created by the Lord. So we are doing it. We are following the systems. That way we can see and we can do it. So that way, if one is doing something and one is given some such advice by somebody and is doing it, he can see it in this way. Is it okay?
Yes, yes. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yashraj Pro, any question?
Yes, Prabhuji. But Prabhuji,
Hmm.
but Bhagavatam says it's different. It said, Kamo Sarva Kama. If you have some desire, just go to the Supreme. Yajeta Purusham Param. You should only worship the Supreme Lord if you have some desire.
Yeah, but he says that it is better to worship the Supreme Lord. But again, here it is also told that no, there is not a sign. Means it again asking the Supreme Lord for material desires is not a proper thing. So there are different approaches. Some say only approach Supreme Lord, but some, but we see in the life of Pandavas and all, they did it. So now there is no very clear clarity on this. Uh, I like even our acharyas also there are different things like someone has, that's what, if somebody is by the devotion, if they, even if something is not proper in material life, if somebody is very advanced in devotion, they will not get affected only. But this is a situation where it is affected and also we have to see. And again Bhagavatam is spoken again to Parikshit Maharaj, who is already like no renounced and all. So again we it's not very clear what to follow and all. So that's why we have to take guidance from devotees who has some shastra, who has studied shastra, and we can see, we can follow. That's what, there are different opinions in this. I heard from different devotees different things, but it is, we can reconcile from shastra, both are bona fide in one sense.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So it's maybe based on some circumstances, but our vision should be clear.
Our goal should be clear that we want a pure devotional service. We want to achieve love of God. But when there are particular circumstances, that's why I'm saying need, for a need, not for a desire.
Mhm.
Material desires has to be avoided. Again, it is subjective from person to person. What is a need? What is a desire? So uh, that is again we have to
Prabhuji,
see separate from. Yeah.
I have a question.
Hmm.
If suppose somebody is going to
Hmm.
Supreme Personality of Godhead
Hmm.
and his material need is not fulfilled,
Hmm.
and just now we have read that even material desires are fulfilled by the sanctioning of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the
See.
same person, if he goes to a demigod,
Hmm.
so the contrary things are there, na? Like if his desire is fulfilled, when he's approaching the Lord,
Hmm.
it is not fulfilled,
Hmm.
and that is why he has been told to go to a demigod. But
Hmm.
again,
Hmm.
if Lord has to fulfill the will, he can directly sanction it.
Uh, See, if law, so now
I hope you have got the question, Prabhuji.
you're talking about a devotee or you're talking about a non-devotee or what?
I'm talking about in general about a devotee,
Hmm.
like as it is mentioned that the desires are fulfilled by the people worship, even devotee worship demigod.
Hmm. So
So
Are you giving a
Instead of
imaginary
instead of
example, or you have seen the example, or what?
no, the question just came in my mind. I don't know there is a proper question or not. That Lord, if he has to fulfill the desire, he will not allow the devotee to go to any demigod. He will directly fulfill the desire, na? Or it is up to the Lord's wish.
That is, see, that is for a very advanced devotee. Ananya Shintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam bahamyaham. That's for a very advanced devotee. Ananya Shintayanto mam means he's constantly remembering, he's constantly engaged in the nine process of devotional service. So for that devotee, Lord is saying, I will do whatever, like Madhavendra Puri's example. Now, if a devotee is, most of the devotees are not at that level. So now for them, if they have some material needs which they are not able to fulfill, or if they are in some material situations, very serious problems, then uh, both things are there. Like they can also approach the Lord, or they can approach the demigod, seeing that as a system created by the Lord. Both are correct as per the Shastra. But they have to be very clear that they are doing this so that their devotional service will be proper. Yeah. But till now also I have
That,
not got very clarity on whether our acharyas are opposing this or not and all. So yeah.
because Prabhuji, in
Hmm.
Kedarnath temple, as you enter on
Uh,
the left hand side on the wall, all Pandavas statues. I mean, their carving statues are there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are examples
Yeah,
of this. Our acharyas
yeah,
mainly condemned demigod worship in the sense, no, like if we also do, then people don't see any difference between us and demigod, other organizations and no other demigod worshippers. So that's why they did not like no authorize for everything and anything or something.
yeah. That's true, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. I was having the doubts.
Yeah. So that's why Prabhupada like no refuted against, means no, because this should not be generally like this demigod worship and all should not be given for some new people or new devotees and all. If somebody is very clear about the goal and all and is practicing properly and they have some serious problem or serious need, then something can be done in that. Okay. So now in the next shloka, Krishna summarizes the process of demigod devata worship. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasaam.
अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसाम्
Devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi.
देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि.
Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Antavattu phalam tesham. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Yes, Prabhu, you can read.
Some commentators on the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the supreme personality of Godhead. They are denied, that is denied here, for it is clearly stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to the different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the supreme planet of the personality of Godhead.
Okay, so Prabhupada is here telling about that, na, yatomat tatopat. So there the conception is the all everything is Brahman, everyone is Brahman. So if you worship demigods which are Brahman, you will achieve Brahman. Or they also say if you worship human beings, Manav Seva, Madhav Seva, that also will lead you to Brahman. So that is totally wrong concept. Everything, everyone is not Brahman. Everyone is part of Brahman and part and parcel of Brahman. So that is what Prabhupada is saying. Yes, Prabhupada.
Here, the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they don't know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or eyes? They do not know that the demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord, and in their ignorance, they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the Brahmanas are the head of the Supreme Lord, the Kshatriyas are his arms, the Vaishyas are his waist, the Shudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination the devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigods' benedictions are perishable because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated in this verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge, his achievements and those of the common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, his favor is unlimited, his mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotees is unlimited.
So that's what the destination which is achieved by devotees because they attain the Lord is different, and the destination which is attained by demigod worshippers it is different. And here Krishna is saying that's why they are alpamedasam because they are only aiming for something that is very temporary and very not so significant. But yes, Yashas, bro.
Uh, no, Praji, first you complete, then my question.
Uh, yeah, of course, this Krishna is telling, but this is more for devotees to know. Like if you see Prabhupada also, there are many well-wishers who are demigod worshippers, but they also have uh, some soft heart towards Prabhupada. They are also attracted by Prabhupada's personality and all. So they became well-wishers. But Prabhupada did not preach them in this way always. They always, Prabhupada always tried to engage them in Krishna service, whatever they can. And if they are receptive and all, Prabhupada spoke some philosophy. Otherwise, Prabhupada was always, he tried to engage them in service. Okay, yes, question.
Uh, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, you told there is some conception this who said the Yatoma Tatopat, everything is Brahman, so we can worship anything. So,
Mm.
Prabhuji,
Mm.
it may argue that if everything is Brahman, and I am
Mm.
Brahman, and Devta is also Brahman, and Supreme Personality is God or Godhead is also Brahman, so why
Mm.
should I worship anyone? So, it's not a kind of atheistic philosophy.
Huh, so that's why, no, that's why I told it is wrong.
Yeah, because if person who knows everything is Brahman, he may argue, why should I worship anyone? Because I am also Brahman.
No, you're that is there now that, but you have not realized that you are Brahman, so you have to do that.
Okay, it's very
That
yeah,
Vyavaharika
it's a
and
less intelligence argument.
yeah, Vyavaharika and Paramarthika is there. No? Currently, you are at Vyavaharika. So,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Yes, Prabhu, and it can actually be degraded to any extent. There are actually people who say that I will worship myself because I am Brahman. So, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
that has no end, Prabhu, and
yeah, yeah, okay.
that is why
Yeah,
it's, we don't take it seriously, bro.
yeah. Okay. Now, Krishna says what this Devata worshippers' conception of Vishnu is, what they think of Vishnu is. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhaya
Avyaktam vyaktimaapannam manyante mama buddhayah
param bhavam ajananto Mam avyayam anuttamam.
Param bhavamajananto mama vyayam anuttamam.
Okay. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they don't know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So initially, they think that Krishna means when Krishna is appearing and all, they think that Krishna is the impersonal Brahman only took this incarnation as Krishna, uh, but they don't know that Krishna eternally exists in the spiritual world and he has eternal associates. His form is eternal. They think it is a temporary form acquired by Brahman. So they think it that way. So, so that is the conception Krishna is saying. No? That is the their conception about Vishnu or Krishna, about of the Devata worshippers. Okay, I will just, the purport is very good. I will see what we can read. Okay. Those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as less intelligent persons, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. Lord Krishna, in his personal form, is here speaking before Arjuna, and still, due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. Himnacharya, a great devotee of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya, has written a very appropriate verse in this connection. My dear Lord, devotees like Vyasadeva and Narada know you to be the personality of Godhead. By understanding different Vedic literatures, one can come to know your characteristics, your form, and your activities. And one can thus understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, the demons, the non devotees, cannot understand you. They are unable to understand you. However, expert such non devotees may be in discussing Vedanta and the Upanishads and other Vedic literatures. It is not possible for them to understand the personality of Godhead. Okay. Mm, yeah, the fact is that no one can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service and without developing Krishna consciousness. अतापि ते देव पदाम्बुजद्वय प्रसादलेशानुग्रहीतैव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवन् महिम्नो न चान्यमेकोऽपि चिरं विचिन्वन्. Okay, so this is the point. This only Prabhupada again elaborates on that. So basically, why they have that misconception? One thing is because they are not worshipping the Supreme Lord, so they cannot understand it. They cannot understand that Lord has previously only told in the Daivi Esha Gunamayi verse. So that's why they concoct something. They concoct this is this one. But again, this is not exactly Mayavad philosophy. So when Mayavad philosophy means if they are saying that the Lord's form is material, so then it is Mayavad philosophy. Here they are saying this form is temporary, temporarily assumed by Brahman. So it does not exactly correspond to the Mayavad philosophy. Mayavad philosophy is offensive. This this is more of product of ignorance, but can become Mayavad philosophy possible, maybe. Okay, why Devata worshippers cannot understand the form? That Prabhupada has clarified means because they are not worshipping the Lord, that Krishna is clarifying here. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrita.
नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः
Mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mam ajamavyayam.
मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको माम् अजमव्ययम्.
I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they don't know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present there, there were only a few people who could understand him to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of Kurus, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme god. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. It was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Yeah. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but for his pure devotees, all men considered him to be like themselves. He was manifest only his devotees as the reservoir of all pleasures. But to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. So the reason is he was covered by his internal potency. So that's why people cannot understand Krishna as God, or cannot understand that Krishna's form is eternal. They see it is a temporary manifestation. They don't know that no, Krishna's form is eternal. Uh, Krishna has an eternal abode and all. That this prayer also we see Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasyapi Hitam Mukam Tam Tam Pushana Pavaram. This we saw in the Ishopanishad prayer. That again Prabhupada is saying. Also in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a prayer by Brahma. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world? You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. Yeah. So, because of Yoga Maya, the Devata worshippers, especially in this context, cannot understand that the form of the Lord is eternal. Krishna, but now they may say, okay, your energy is there and your energy is covering the understanding of the Devata worshippers. But is it that your energy does not cover you? So Krishna says no. This again, Krishna also told before that no, uh, three modes which are covering all the living entities or covers all the living entities, but they don't affect me. But this is again a similar thing. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha Arjuna bhavishya.
Vedaham,
Okay,
sorry.
yes, 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 please repeat. Sorry.
वेदाहं समतीतानि वर्तमानानि च अर्जुन
Bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kasyana.
भविष्याणि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न कश्चन.
Okay. Oh Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I know all living entities, but me no one knows. So Krishna is saying Yogamaya does not cover me. So I know everything. But others don't know me. That is very difficult for them to know. Yeah. So this analogy is given as sun and clouds. So the clouds covers the eye of the observer. The clouds cannot cover the sun. Similarly, the Yogamaya covers the eyes of the people, but not the Lord. Okay. This is small. Here, the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, were Maya, material, as the impersonalists consider him to be, then, like the living entity, he would change his body and forget everything about his past life. Anyone with a material body cannot remember his past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict what will happen in his present life. Therefore, he cannot know the events of past, present, and future. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, he cannot know past, present, and future. Unlike the ordinary human being, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what will happen in the future. So, which means that he is not covered by his energy. The fourth chapter, we have seen that the Lord, this similar verse also comes in the fourth chapter. In the fourth chapter, we have seen that Lord Krishna remembers instructing Vivaswan, the sun god, millions of years ago. Krishna knows every living entity because he is situated in every living being's heart as the super soul. But despite his presence in every living entity as super soul and his presence as the supreme personality of Godhead, the less intelligent, even if able to realize the impersonal Brahman, cannot realize Sri Krishna as the supreme person. Certainly, the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He is just like the sun, and Maya is like a cloud. Yeah, so this analogy. In the material world, we can see that there is sun and that there are clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all these in the sky temporarily, but this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. Yeah, only from our perspective they may cover, but not in objective. The sun, moon, and stars are not actually covered. Yeah. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. By his internal potency is not manifest to the less intelligent class of men. Yes. So this is the analogy, and this is clear. Okay. Now, why the knowledge of me is rare? Why Krishna made this statement that me no one knows? Again, here also he told why. Now only he told, okay, these people can know me. This, if these kind of devotees they approach me, and they can know me and all. But again, Krishna is saying, Mam tu vedam na kaschana. So for that, Krishna is again giving an answer. Ichchadvesha samuktena dvandva mohena bharata.
इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत
सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप.
सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप.
Again, this is little like a repetition, but this is being stated in a little different way. Earlier also Krishna stated that most of the people are covered by the mode, so that's why they are unable to understand me. So now also Krishna is saying because people are entangled in this material world, that's why they cannot understand me. O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate. Everyone is entangled in samsara because of material desires. So that's what. Ichcha dvesha samuktena dvanda mohena. So that duality is there and they are because of material desires, basically. Yeah, purport is small. Rosie can read the purport.
Sure, Prabhu. The real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pure devotees who are not deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Sri Krishna appears by his internal potencies, but those who are deluded by duality and nescience think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, woman and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc., thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife. These are the dualities of delusion. Those who are so deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So because their whole consciousness are absorbed in the material world, their desires are all centered around it. They will not be willing to take to devotional service. They don't feel the need for devotional service. And that's why they cannot understand the Supreme Lord. So this verse explains, but again, now again Krishna tells, again it is similar to the previous concept. Again, now Krishna tells who can understand him again. So then when it is possible to know Krishna? येषां तु अन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां
येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां
ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रता.
ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः.
Okay. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So, those who have acted piously. So here piously again means sukruti. So those who have acting piously again means serving devotees here. So they got bhakti sukruti, not karma sukruti or jnana sukruti or yoga sukruti, but bhakti sukruti especially. So then they serve the devotees so that they get some sukruti. And with that sukruti, they take to devotional service. So through devotional service, they get the mercy of the Lord, and that through that they understand the Lord. And through devotional service, they also get freed from these dualities of passion, ignorance, and all that. So that will help them to understand the Lord. So that's what now, if you see in preaching, even our case also, when along with that, many might have taken initially to Krishna consciousness, but if they don't have this sukruti, so then they may not continue. So that's why this makes the difference. Yes, Prabhu, we can read the purport.
Those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse. For those who are sinful, atheistic, foolish, and deceitful, it is very difficult to transcend the duality of desire and hate. Only those who have passed their lives in practicing the regulative principles of religion, who have acted piously, and who have conquered sinful reactions can accept devotional service and gradually rise to the pure knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, gradually, they can meditate in trance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the process of being situated on the spiritual platform. This elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees, for in the association of great devotees one can be delivered from delusion. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.2 that if one actually wants to be liberated, he must render service to the devotees. Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimukte. But one who associates with materialistic people is on the path leading to the darkest region of existence. Tamodwaram yoshitam sangisangam. All the devotees of the Lord traverse this earth just to recover the conditioned souls from their delusion. The impersonalists do not know that forgetting their constitutional position as subordinate to the Supreme Lord is the greatest violation of God's law. Unless one is reinstated in his own constitutional position, it is not possible to understand the Supreme Personality or to be fully engaged in his transcendental loving service with determination.
Hmm. Unless one is reinstated on the right. Yeah, so it's both, they complement each other. Means maybe of course, okay, the diagram is little difficult. But initially, one comes in contact with association of devotees. So they may not come for the sake of devotion, but they may just happen and know unknowingly they may help the devotees in something or some like that. Like in case of grihasthas, it may happen, and they may have appreciation for a particular devotee. It may not be again based on devotion, but it may be uh, because of their virtues or no some nice behavior and all. So that way they get sukruti. And as that sukruti accumulates more and more, then they'll be attracted to the acts of devotion. Like uh, then they may be more receptive to take prasad. They may purchase books. This happens over. It may happen several times in a life given life, or may happen across lifetimes. Then they will get that conviction that no, they should hear about Krishna from devotees. So when they do that, so then they will come to that understanding, that Vasudeva Sarvamiti and all. So then they will want to take up the process of pure devotional service. So then once they start surrendering to Krishna, to the proportion they surrender to Krishna, then they will also be able to understand Krishna more and more. So then these both things they complement each other. The more they surrender to Krishna, then the more their understanding of Krishna increases. So like that. Okay. Is it any questions till now? So this is like completion of one concept.
I was just wondering,
Yeah.
can I mean Yesham Tontagatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam, right? What the
Mm.
verse is saying this, those who have come to the end of their sins by performing pious activities. Right? So can this be constitute to mean that okay, you go on performing pious activities even if you have not taken to devotional service?
No, here actually our acharyas clearly say the pious activities are
Devotional activity.
yeah, devotional activities. Otherwise, pious activities cannot produce devotional service.
Yes,
That is
Prabhu.
very clear.
Yes, we cannot come to the end of sins also, na, by performing pious activities. I mean, yesham
Yeah,
tam.
yeah, yeah. That also is not fully possible because avidya will not get so easily destroyed.
Yes, Prabhu.
You may,
Thank you,
I
Prabhu.
mean, it may be possible in some way or other, but actually it's difficult. Theoretically, it may be possible, but practically it is difficult.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, yeah.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna Prabhuji.
yes, bro.
My
Yes.
question is not related to the current slokas, but it is regarding the
Hmm.
overcoming the conditionings of past birth. How it can be overcome?
How we can overcome it?
Conditionings of past birth, if they are very strong.
We cannot say. Yeah, conditionings of past, like what? Can you tell some examples?
Like
Hmm.
not having good patience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, some things can be changed, some things we don't know. There is like no vritti and vasana. So, see, vasanas means they are little clear, like the six anarthas, lust, anger, greed. Uh, so these things, by practice of devotional service, mostly they will get purified. But again, depends upon on the intensity of devotional service, and it is gradual. It's not overnight or something. And then there is vritti. Vritti means like somebody may be more interested in doing something physical things. They may not have so much interest in studying or something. So then now these will again now to draw a fine boundary is difficult. So that may not change so much by even by practice of devotional service. So it's clear now. So
Yes, Prabhuji.
some things, the previous conditionings which are against or which are obstacles to devotional service will get cleansed. In general, we can say the six anarthas are obstacles in everyone's case, but sometimes there may be some particular obstacles for a particular person. For some, something may not be obstacle. For some, something may be obstacle like that. Like for some, their sleep may be very deep, so it may be little difficult for them to get up very early and all. For some, it is very easy for them to get up early, quite early, because they don't get proper sleep only in one sense. That depends again on the body prakriti. Now, this thing we cannot expect by practice of devotional service, it should change. May change little bit to some extent by practice and all, but may not change to something else like that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Grateful to you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Yashas bro, some question.
What you said, the two things are one is vritti and second one is
Vasana.
okay, vritti and vasa. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now Krishna describes about Karma Mishra Bhakta here. Jara Marana Mokshaya Mamashritya Yatanti Ye
Jaramarana mokshaya mama shritya
Te Brahma Tad Vidkritsnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam.
Te brahma tadvidu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam.
So now there may be a Karma Mishra Bhakta who is worshipping Krishna for the sake of liberation. So Krishna says they gradually, they will achieve liberation and they will also understand Krishna. So again, here he's speaking about Karma Mishra Bhakta. Karma Mishra Bhakta also may have the desire for liberation, but he will have many material. He will also have material desires. But a Jnana Mishra Bhakta, he also his goal is only liberation. and he does not have so many material desires because the Jnana Marga, because of Jnana Marga, many material desires are. His focus is more. Okay. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Yeah. Yes, bro, you can read the purpose.
Birth, death, old age, and diseases affect this material body, but not the spiritual body. There is no birth, death, old age, and disease for the spiritual body. So, one who attains the spiritual body becomes one of the associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engages in eternal devotional service, is really liberated. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. It is said that one should understand that he is Brahman, spirit soul. This Brahman conception of life is also in devotional service, as described in this verse. The pure devotees are transcendentally situated on the Brahman platform and they know everything about transcendental activities. Four kinds of impure devotees who engage themselves in the transcendental service of the Lord achieve their respective goals, and by the grace of the Supreme Lord, when they are fully Krishna conscious, they actually enjoy spiritual association with the Supreme Lord. But those who are worshippers of demigods never reach the Supreme Lord in his supreme planet. Even the less intelligent Brahman realized persons cannot reach the supreme planet of Krishna known as Golok Vrindavan. Only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness, Mama Shritya, are actually entitled to be called Brahman because they are actually endeavoring to reach the Krishna planet. Such persons have no misgivings about Krishna and thus they are factually Brahman. Those who are engaged in worshipping the form of Archa of the Lord or who are engaged in meditation on the Lord simply for liberation from material bondage also know by the grace of the Lord the purpose of Brahman, Adhibhuta, etc., as explained by Lord in the next chapter.
Yeah. So, so the Karma Mishra Bhaktas, they because they are practicing bhakti as a prominent thing and they have proper conception of the Lord. They don't see that the form of the Lord is just temporary, but it is eternal and all. So they don't have any misconceptions like the Devata worshippers, and they are surrendered to the Lord. So they get purified, they get liberation, and they also get the proper full knowledge about Brahman and all, Brahman, Bhagavan, and everything. Yeah. So that's what Krishna is saying because this is like the uh, means in 16th chapter in the 16th verse Krishna told the four categories. So what happens ultimately to them that Krishna is saying here. And now in the next verse Krishna says their knowledge is also going to be eternal. Yes, Sharad Prabhu.
Prabhuji, in the translation, it is said that so Krishna says intelligent person who are endeavoring for liberation from old age. So I didn't understand this term of why Krishna is used like from old age and they take refuge in me.
Yeah, basically they want to get liberation from material existence.
Acha, liberation from old age and death.
Yeah, death. See, liberation from freedom from death means liberation. No?
Okay.
As long as you are in material world, you'll be subjected to death.
Okay, okay. I took it differently, like endeavoring for liberation from old age. So
Yeah,
yeah,
old age
I
is
miss.
not the main focus. Old age
Mm-hmm.
is just a complement or no, just death.
Okay.
Death is the thing. Okay. Now Krishna is saying the knowledge which they attain through devotional service is also never destroyed. Sadi Sadibhutam Adi Daivam Mam Sadi Yagyam Cha Ye Vidu
Sadhibhutadidevam mam sadhiyajnam cha ye viduhu
Prayana Kale Pichamam Te Vidur Yukta Chetasa.
प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः.
Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods, and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme of God, Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So this knowledge na, is also will stay eternal, something that's what Krishna is saying. And Arjuna will ask in the next chapter questions on these terms. What is Adi Yajna, Adi Bhuta, and all. Yes, Prabhu, you can read the purport.
Persons acting in Krishna consciousness are never deviated from the path of entirely understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the transcendental association of Krishna consciousness, one can understand how the Supreme Lord is the governing principle of the material manifestation and even of the demigods. Gradually, by such transcendental association, one becomes convinced of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the time of death, such a Krishna conscious person can never forget Krishna. Naturally, he is thus promoted to the planet of the Supreme Lord, Golok Vrindavan. This seventh chapter particularly explains how one can become a fully Krishna conscious person. The beginning of Krishna consciousness is association of persons who are Krishna conscious. Such association is spiritual and puts one directly in touch with the Supreme Lord, and by His grace, one can understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, one can really understand the constitutional position of the living entity and how the living entity forgets Krishna and becomes entangled in material activities. By gradual development of Krishna consciousness in good association, the living entity can understand that due to forgetfulness of Krishna, he has become conditioned by the laws of material nature. He can also understand that this human form of life is an opportunity to regain Krishna consciousness and that it should be fully utilized to attain the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. Many subjects have been discussed in this chapter: the man in distress, the inquisitive man, the man in want of material necessities, knowledge of Brahman, knowledge of Paramatma, liberation from birth, death, and diseases, and worship of the Supreme Lord. However, he who is actually elevated in Krishna consciousness does not care for the different processes. He simply directly engages himself in activities of Krishna consciousness and thereby factually attains his constitutional position as an eternal servant of Lord Krishna. In such a situation, he takes pleasure in hearing and glorifying the Supreme Lord in pure devotional service. He is convinced that by his doing so, all his objectives will be fulfilled. This determined faith is called Drida Vrata, and it is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga or transcendental loving service. That is the verdict of all scriptures. The seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the substance of that conviction. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the seventh chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of knowledge of the Absolute.
Okay, any questions? This chapter. Okay, there are no questions. Okay. So because
Uh,
yes,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, may I ask a question about apart from this?
Yeah, you can ask.
Prabhuji, we do Bhishma Panchak in Kartik Mass last 5 days.
Yeah.
So we hear the in Katha that Bhishma
Mm,
Dev did this tapa
mm,
before leaving his body,
okay.
and he glorifies Krishna during these 5 days, and also he talked to Yudhishthir Maharaj, giving him the instructions. So
Mm,
there is one more point, like
mm,
Bhishma Dev left his body in Uttarayan,
okay.
which was after
September.
Margashish. So, how we understand this? Is this vrata placed in Kartik Mas by our acharyas, or it was the exact period when Bhishma Dev left his body?
Okay, this I need to know. I know some devotees have spoken on this, Haripashatra or somebody, but I need to know about it. He has, I think, give lecture. I will check about it and I will maybe pass on to you that reference. I
Yes,
need to
Prabhuji.
know. I have to find out. I
Yes.
also had this question, but I will.
Yeah, I never asked, but somebody has asked me, in
Okay.
so I have to give the answer.
Yeah, I'll find out and let you know.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any other question?
Prabhuji,
Mm.
uh, I have not a question, but I like to share some information
Mm-hmm.
which is connected with this question.
Mm-hmm.
For a devotee,
Mm.
it is not a matter of Uttarayan or Dakshinayan. And
Hmm.
whenever a devotee, pure devotee, leaves the body,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with the all this Panchang and all.
Yeah, that is there, but historically means na, as per the Puranas, what is the correct thing that we should know na, about Bhishma Dev?
Yeah, it's more about chronology. How do we
Uh,
understand this
yeah,
chronology? It's not about questioning why and
yeah. Okay.
I
Yes.
just shared the information. I'm not answering the
Yeah,
question
that's
or
fine.
giving
But
any
I'm
explanation.
just,
I
I'm just
just heard
responding to the question. Yeah,
I heard some devotees lecture and then I remember the summary of that lecture
yeah.
is
That we
this.
are going to study in the 8th chapter. That Krishna also going to say that Uttarayan,
Okay.
Dakshinayan, and all that we are going to study in the 8th
Yes,
chapter.
yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Any other question? Okay. So because yeah, we have now completed the 7th chapter. Because this book marathon is there, and as per temple policy, because many of you are in Pune or connected to Pune and all, so as per temple policy, we should not have any other program parallel to marathon. So you can take off. You will not have classes. You can use the time for distributing Bhagavad Gita, and we will resume mostly in January, maybe mid-January or something. That I will let you know. So you can utilize the time and hope by studying Bhagavad Gita, your inspiration to your impetus to distribute to Bhagavad Gita is has enhanced. And of course, you can also study. You should study. So you can study what we covered till now, or something else that will inspire you. Okay.
It's a big break, Prabhu.
Yeah, big break for me also. So okay. Okay,
So the
so
last question before you leave for the break.
yeah, what?
Um, I read one statement in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hmm.
When we surrender to Krishna, Krishna takes the charge
Mm-hmm.
and makes us immune free from all sinful reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Uh,
we want Krishna to take the charge,
hmm. See, when actually a devotee wants Krishna to take charge of his life, uh, let me see if I can get the prayer. Actually, this prayer has answered me that question. Okay, not in this. Is in this. Hmm. What is that? Okay. Mukundamavastitra. Hmm. This. Mhm. Hmm. This is the sloka. See, O lotus-eyed Lord, please sustain our lives as we constantly release the nectar of meditating on your lotus feet, with our palms prayerfully joined, our heads bowed down, our bodily hair standing up in jubilation, our voice choked with emotion, and our eyes flowing with tears. So here the devotee is fully absorbed in devotional service. He does not want to do anything else in the world. So then he's saying, and he considers that acting for maintaining the body and all is a distraction, is a waste of time. So that's why he's telling the Lord, Lord, I am doing everything for you, and I want to do only that thing. I don't want to do this thing, and so you do this. As no, I am not able to do this, but you do this. So at this stage, if a devotee says, no, please take charge of my life or something, no, it makes some sense. Now at a sadhaka stage, one does not have this no taste for doing devotional service 24 by 7, and one has material desires. So yes, he is also surrendered in some way, but expecting the Lord to take charge of life at least doesn't make sense, to fully take charge of life. And Lord also told, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So only one who has like no Ananyas chintayantam. Again, Lord also told, one who is practicing devotional service like this, I personally take care of them. Is it clarifying the doubt, or you have more questions?
Not exactly it is clarified. I'm suspicious, some doubts.
So that's what, see, when you have to see surrender, na, you cannot just take one statement and not take that as the thing. You have to see all the statements on surrender. That is how we understand Shastra. We don't take one statement in isolation and see and know.
Yes, Prabhu, that is true. That is 100% true, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I understand that.
So
I
that's
know
why
also
we
that.
have to see all the statements on what is surrender.
Yes, yes. But a little bit more clarified form, I will ask you. When Krishna takes the charge of your body and mind, that time uh, things are happening in such a way that after the things are done, completed, when you look back again, you feel that you are not the doer, like how it happened, how it took place. Is that the right conclusion, or some it is
No, see, they are not
speculation?
the see. We should not see that is not the way to understand whether Krishna took charge or not. It's very clear from Shastra when Krishna takes fully charge of the devotee's life. When devotee has reached this kind of consciousness. Otherwise, Krishna may help in some way. Krishna does not take fully charge. Krishna will help in some way. But you cannot say Krishna take fully charge. That may be because of some element of ignorance or something. And no, okay, you did something. Let's say I'll take book distribution example one. Now let's say you did something, you endeavored very less, but many books got distributed. So now you don't understand how actually it happened. Okay, so if you see, when you understand it that way, when you understand, okay, Krishna has helped, and that thing is helping you to become more devoted to Krishna and not to become grateful to Krishna, you can take it that way because that is favorable to your devotional service. But if that is making you more complacent in devotional service, because no, you one thinks no, okay, because I'm very advanced, Krishna is helping me. So and he becomes complacent in his sadhana, and he becomes proud, and no, he belittles other devotees. So then that is not favorable to devotional service. And because we are sadhakas, we can it is more safe to assume that okay, sometimes Krishna may interfere, but better is okay, it just happened. We can say not because of my devotion Krishna interfered, but because so the my superiors wanted and all, because I'm trying to help them, that's why Krishna interfered. That is more safer thing. Now is it helpful or more
Yeah,
clarity?
practically, shall I explain one? Shall I give an example so I think you'll be able to understand a better way?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the time, Prabhuji?
Yeah, we can, because yeah, this chapter is done. We can
No,
spend little.
because it is your meeting after a long time, so I felt
Yeah,
it I should
yeah, yeah.
speak to you, should tell
Yes,
to you.
yeah.
This is not to glorify myself or to do put
Mm.
anything in, no, not in that way. Please don't take it in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Devotees also.
Yes.
In Pandharpur,
Mm.
by the mercy of Guru, Shri Guru and Hari and all the Vaishnavas,
Mm.
was distributing books, trying
Mm.
to distribute the books.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
on Ekadashi day, a
Mm.
villager came
Mm.
and he said, I want to buy Bhagavatam set.
Mm-hmm.
Now I cannot pick up the load of Bhagavatam.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave the cash money. And
Mm.
that moment I was somewhere else. Then I reached to the bookstall.
Mm.
Nearby bookstall, I was standing. The
Okay.
bookstalls, they told that you have to go to Godon, and
Mm-hmm.
if it is open, then only you will get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to the Godon, it was open. And then the devotee, uh, I requested him that I cannot pick up the load. Please come with me. There is a
Mm-hmm.
person who wants to buy this Bhagavatam set.
Mm-hmm.
So everything happened in such a way that moment
Mm.
that everything was arranged, I can say. Like,
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. See, if you feel, see, by uh, considering the, see, one thing is we cannot exactly say where Krishna interfered in our lives. But one thing, because we are sadhakas, we can say that Krishna is not interfering in everything in our lives. We are not that advanced. Okay. This at least
yes,
we are
Prabhuji.
clear
Yes,
now.
Prabhuji.
Okay. And now, technical, philosophically, we cannot understand that. We cannot. So the first thing is Krishna is not interfering fully in our lives because we are not that advanced. This is clear. Now, second, we cannot understand how Krishna is interfering in our lives because if we understand fully what Krishna is doing, then we become superior to Krishna. So that is also not possible.
We become, sorry?
See, if we understand fully what Krishna is doing in our lives,
Yeah.
then we become superior to Krishna.
Yes.
So, but that is
That
not,
is not possible.
that is also
That
not
is not
possible. Correct?
possible. Yes.
Even if Krishna is interfering fully in a devotee's lives, he will not fully understand how it is happening. Correct? So this is
Yes,
second.
Prabhuji.
Okay. Now third. So now third. Now you are seeing it that way. Correct? Means that incident happened, and you are. I mean, you are naturally inspired to see that Krishna has interfered in your life. Now, uh, you see that whether that kind of inspiration is making you more devoted to Krishna, more grateful to Krishna, or whether if it is creating some complacency or some kind of pride. But you have to see. Now I don't know what. So if it is doing the second thing, then better you see that as no, that is the kindness of the devotees, and that is happening, that happened because of that interest of that person who wanted Bhagavatam. But if it is creating, making you more devoted, more grateful to Krishna, then okay, you can
Yes,
see
yes.
it is Krishna's
Very
mercy.
much.
Okay.
Very much. Faith is increased like anything.
Okay, so then you
Faith
see
is
it as Krishna's mercy. That's all.
faith is increased. Faith is increased like anything.
Okay, okay. So
Because that
then you
moment it
see,
was, yeah, that moment it was like situations where I cannot, I mean, I can't talk about all those situations and
okay,
all.
so that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, there may be good emotions and all, that's fine. So if it is helping you go ahead in your devotional service, then you can consider it. There is no problem. But you have to have these first 2 points have to be clear. Okay, na, Pro?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And
Okay.
the last statement, I spoke to His Grace Pitambar Chaitanya Prabhuji also.
Mm-hmm.
So he said ki if we try, I generally discuss the things with him whenever anything happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he told that if we try to understand Krishna, Krishna will not allow to understand him.
That's not a categorical statement. we should not have that expectation that we should be able to understand everything in Krishna consciousness or know everything
Yes.
how Krishna is interfering. With that expectation, we should not try to understand. Uh, yeah,
Expectation, no, that is the manipulations of the mind sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That is the judgmental things of the mind.
yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Very true. Correct.
But this statement is very true. That shloka you said, na, to the degree one surrenders to Krishna, Krishna reveals himself to that degree.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
this is
Yes.
this is
Yes.
amazing statement. I mean, amazing shloka of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Uh,
That, okay.
I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Yashras, bro, you have something to ask?
Thank you so much,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Hare
And please
Krishna.
forgive me
Actually,
if I exaggerated anywhere anything. Please forgive me.
No, no. It's fine. Very correct.
uh,
Yes.
Thank
uh,
you so much.
actually, Prabhuji, I have one thing which is similar to the question of Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Actually, in the story of a Sripad Ramanujacharya,
Mm,
once upon a time his guru want to kill him, and
mm.
at that time one hunted couple helped Ramanuja. So there is
Uh-huh.
one chronological dispute.
Mm,
One said they are the Shiva Parvati, and someone says there is Lakshmi Narayan. But I
mm,
asked the same thing with my one Sri Sampradaya friend. He said we don't have to discuss. We don't have to. We
mm,
can say too much thing about why neither is it a Shiv Parvati or it's a Lakshmi Narayan. But
mm.
Ramanujacharya take is as a mercy of the Lord.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So if it is increase our devotion,
Mm.
so we can consider it as a mercy of the Lord.
Yes, yes, yes. That is the thing. I mean that is one way to reconcile these kind of things at a sadhaka level. Okay, Ravi Roshan Prabhu, something question or
Yes,
something?
bro, I had a doubt in like
Mm,
Briti and that Anartha part you said, no, like by sadhana we can
mm.
easily remove that Briti, but I'll call you, bro. It's already time devotee.
Okay, okay. Yeah, sure.
Briti.
No, no, you can ask question.
That you were explaining, Proji,
Mm.
Briti, that how it can you elaborate it
Acha,
more?
vritti and vasana.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so vasana means generally the negative attitudes and all, which are anti to devotional service, like the six anarthas, uh, laziness, like these things. Generally, tamoguni things. So that is called vasana. The appropriate word in English is impulses, and for vritti, it is called instincts. See, vritti means the talents you have, the skills you have, and all. And the type of body you have. These things they may not get changed due to devotional service. But vasanas you can expect that they get purified by practice of devotional service. Like somebody may be interested in distributing, somebody may by his karma and all he has that skills and abilities to do book, not to distribute more books, but it may not be like no, okay, some by advancement in devotional service somebody may not have those kind of skills and all, but it may not become no, they may become very big book distributor because of devotional advancement. It may not happen like that, but they may be inspired to endeavor more for book distribution, but again the result may not change so much. That okay, is it clear now or
Yes, bro. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank
Haribol.
you
Thank you
everyone.
so much,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you very much,
Sincerely
bro.
grateful to you from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you.